Hey guys, it's G here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm in my garden oasis for the next couple of months, so I am so glad you guys can join me here. I want to get right into this topic because we all know that there is lots of talk from podcast bros about the degradation of society because of fatherless homes, also known as single moms. Guys, I want to talk about why it is that more women are not raising better men. And I don't even think this has anything to do with just single moms, but generally speaking, we are seeing more shit men, period. So guys, subscribe to my channel and let's have a little chat.
Every family needs that one daughter that speaks her mind, doesn't like being told what to do, and is low-key healing all the generational trauma no one seems to be aware of.
What happens is women are left raising boys, right? Children, generally speaking. And a lot of times, these men who are now spouting all of this hatred about single mothers often have come from fatherless homes. And they give no attribution for their troubles to the fathers who left. It's always the mommy's fault. It makes sense. But guys, this is the real deal. The problem is, and one of the reasons that I see that women have a hard time raising better men is because they try to raise men who are going to be accepted by men under current standards. And that's the problem. So many of us women center maleness, and the maleness, not the maleness that we want, the maleness that we see outside of us. And that maleness that we see outside of us is the problem with the world. You know what I mean? So it's not even something that we think about, because from the time, and let me tell you, I am #boy mom. I have raised a son by myself as a single mother. I am now partnered with someone and we have 2 boys. Anyway, we have 2 boys, and I, like, honest to God, raising my son by myself was somewhat easier. I have to be honest. Like, it was somewhat easier in the sense that I was able to look at maleness from a different perspective, and I don't think many of us women do. I don't think that we are constantly told by other people that we can't raise men to be men because we don't have the skills. But do we want to? Do we really want to raise men to be the type of men who leave their children and create fatherless homes? Because that's what we end up doing. We end up raising men who reflect the men in our society, but we want them to change. That's the problem. And the problem is that when men and maleness and the type of maleness that we've always been around is like centered in our life, then we don't know how else to raise them. And for me, I would say what changed for me when I was young and recognizing some of this is that my mother was a toxic boy mom. So I grew up with somebody who centered not only my brother, because she wanted me to center him too. I couldn't have my own autonomy. I had to do what he wanted to do. It was like, he wanted to play a game, he needs to play it. If I just wanted to be left the fuck alone, no. I couldn't. He wanted to play. He can't be left alone. He can't be lonely. He can't be sad. You have to put your feelings down in so many ways. And so much of my young adulthood or young childhood was fighting. So much of my childhood was actually fighting against, like, doing what men wanted me to do or what my mother told me men wanted to do. So I was constantly, like, in a battle in some way. And when I became pregnant with my first son, all I could hear is like, oh, you have to raise him this way, you have to do this, you have to make sure he's that. And the only thing I wanted my son to do was be himself. Full stop, period. So as we start raising our boys, as we are thinking about becoming, if you're thinking about becoming mothers, or if you're already a mother, How are you going to decenter? Because you can still decenter maleness and men even when you are with men, even when you have male children. You can still decenter that. Like, and if we think about this, and this is where men get this from, right? If we think about this more, if you're a Christian, if you've been following me, you probably know that I'm not. If you're a Christian religion centers maleness. It centers it, and it tells women, you know what, you're second to this. And that's how we start raising our boys. And that's how they become the shit men that they are. And I know people are going to be like, but religion, no. Religion is one of the worst things for children in a lot of ways. But it, in this sense, it's one of the worst ways we can think about when we're raising boys, especially. Fucking kids, period. But especially boys. If we are centering maleness in our life, think about Jesus, right? Think about the God, right? This male God who often we attribute all of the good things to. We can say, you know what? I got a great job. Thank God. I won the award. Thank God. But when something bad happens, he's absolved. He's teaching you a lesson. He was testing your strength. He was doing anything that puts the onus on you and not thanking him. You don't thank him for when you lost that job. You don't thank him for like when you find out your boss was sexually harassing you. You don't thank him for those things. But that's what we do to men, and that's what we do to our boys. We raise them in that same ideal, and it's so ingrained in us that we have to break this idea of centering maleness, messing them up, centering them in that sense. And we would stop raising podcast bros who think that the world owes them something, that are mad because their mom had to work. They are mad because they blame their mother that their father wasn't in their lives. It was her fault for being too strong, too masculine. She should have acquiesced. He is the God after all. And if she had, he would have stayed around to at least do what? Because we know he's not going to do any better job. When I say that, because even after raising my son and working on him not centering himself in every situation and thinking that he is the king God of my house, he was never the man of the house. Like, I never ever said to my son, you are the man of the house. You have to do man things in this house. Like, whatever that looks like. And like, that's the thing that women do. We also cannot use our boys for validation. And when I say validation, I mean emotional validation, because so much of what centering maleness is getting that emotional validation that our sons give us, because they are so lovely when they're little, isn't it? And we are told over and over again, we aren't women until a man loves you. We aren't women until a man loves you. And who is going to love you more than anyone else but your son? Until they grow up and become podcast bros. Like, that's when they obviously are a problem. But I think like all of these things start to couple together and become the reasons why our sons, who can be lovely boys and then grow up to be shit men. And sometimes they're shit boys. I just realized that a lot of mothers are actually afraid of their sons. They're afraid of them. And I was so surprised to find this out, that even in many instances, your son becomes someone who is not a protector, even of their own mom. Guys, I think that is interesting, because when we start drilling down the numbers, 30% of women, African women in sub-Saharan Africa, are single mothers. Of course, we drill down into the Black American community, and we have 57% of fatherless homes because men left. But it's somehow the woman's fault. And we have a whole different system in the United States where there is the, school to prison pipeline that many boys decide to fall into because they are searching for more maleness, that maleness that is centered in our lives. So it's not necessarily about having just a mom at home. They're seeking out maleness. They're seeking out the maleness that their mom is telling them that they've lacked. That's it. That's what these podcast bros are doing. So we can change those narratives. But we have to work on decentering men and maleness in ourselves first. And then we can do something about our boys. Guys, subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to talking to you in the comments. Ciao, ciao for now.